Tommy was a brave kid, but only when the sun was out. He'd climb the tallest tree in the park. No problem. He wasn't scared of giant barking dogs. But when night came, everything changed. His room got dark, and suddenly the shadows were turning his chair into a monster and his coat into some creepy tall guy. And tonight was the worst night of the entire year. Halloween Eve. Tommy was hiding under his blanket, pulled right up to his nose. Every single creak in the house made him jump, the leaves rustling outside his window. Totally spooky footsteps. He squeezed his eyes shut and just wished it was morning already. He loved the daytime part of Halloween all. The pumpkins and funny costumes were awesome. But Halloween night, all the scary stories made his heart pound. And then he heard a brand new sound. It was quiet, kinda soft, and it wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside his room, from his closet. Tommy's heart was beating like a drum. Thump, thump, thump. He held his breath. He heard it again, a little sigh. He remembered his mom's advice. If you're brave, you'll see there's nothing to be scared of. So, he took a huge, shaky breath and slid out of bed. He tiptoed across the freezing floor, staring at the closet door. His hand was shaking as he grabbed the knob. He turned it ... slowly and pulled the door open just a tiny crack. You won't believe what he saw. It wasn't a monster. Floating in the middle of his coats was a little glowing ghost. And it wasn't even scary. It was shimmery and pale, with these huge, round eyes that looked more sad than anything. Hello, the ghost whispered, in a voice that sounded like leaves rustling. I didn't mean to scare you. Tommy's fear just vanished. Now, he was just curious. Who are you? He asked. I'm Gary, the ghost said, floating down a bit. I live in your closet. It's usually pretty quiet, but tonight I heard everyone outside having fun for Halloween, and I got lonely. I've never been trick-or-treating. Tommy looked at this super-friendly ghost and felt bad for him. You've never had Halloween candy. Gary just shook his head, and his whole body wiggled like sad jello. That's when Tommy got an insane idea. Dude, tomorrow is Halloween night. You have to come with me. We'll go on the biggest adventure ever. Gary's eyes lit up, and he started glowing even brighter. Really? You'd do that for me? Of course. Tommy grinned. We're friends. The next day, Tommy wasn't scared at all. He was hyped. Their first challenge, carving a pumpkin. Tommy put a huge pumpkin on the floor, but Gary couldn't hold any of the tools. I have an idea, Gary yelled. He floated right inside the pumpkin, and his ghost light started shining through the side. I'll glow where you need to carve, he said. Tommy started laughing and carved out 2 big eyes, a nose, and a giant, happy smile right where Gary was glowing. It was the best pumpkin he had ever made. Gary stayed inside, making the pumpkin glow with a friendly light. The room wasn't scary anymore. It was literally magical. When it got dark, Tommy put on his awesome pirate costume. Gary floated right next to him, totally invisible. The night, which used to be so scary for Tommy, was now just incredible. "Look, Gary," Tommy would whisper, pointing at a house covered in fake spiderwebs. "How cool is that?" Gary would just giggle. Together, they went from house to house, trick or treat, Tommy would yell, and people would drop tons of candy in his bag. With his new best friend next to him, Tommy realized all the spooky stuff was just for fun. The dark was actually the perfect place for an adventure. They finally got to the end of the street, and there it was, the scariest house on the block. It was huge, dark, and playing crazy spooky music with fake bats hanging everywhere. This was the final boss. Tommy froze. He felt that old fear coming back and took a step back. But then he felt a cool breeze as Gary floated right in front of him. Gary swooped at a fake spider web, pretended he was stuck, and did a ridiculous, wiggly sneeze. Asterisk, oh, asterisk, Tommy couldn't stop laughing. The house didn't seem that scary anymore. He took a deep breath, marched right up to the door with Gary, and rang the bell. He did it. The door opened, and a super nice lady told him he was the bravest kid she'd seen all night. She gave him 3 extra chocolate bars for beating the final boss. Walking home with a candy bag that was insanely heavy, Tommy and Gary just laughed and talked about the whole night. Back in his room, Tommy got into bed. He looked at his closet and wasn't scared of it for the first time ever. He knew his best friend lived in there. The shadows were just shadows again. The dark was just the dark. Tommy fell asleep, dreaming about candy and epic adventures. And floating right next to him, watching over his new friend, Gary the ghost glowed softly in the quiet, friendly night. So, Tommy faced his biggest fear and made an awesome new friend. Halloween went from being scary to being the best night ever. Happy Halloween! If you loved this story, smash that subscribe button and like the video, because we have way more adventures coming soon.